your Photoshop generative fill practice. There are complete tutorials. There's a video. This one's really good. There is a document if you forget, and a video from that guy. And then here's some basic selection tools. And then this is how you write an AI text to image prompt. So you need to use this structure, a subject, a description, and like a style for all of your AI practice for this assignment, or you will lose quite a few points. Okay, so first, let's go over some selection tools. So these just make like square selections. You can make circles and stuff. The lasso tool is really helpful for this one because I can select like just the hair, and you basically just draw and it makes a selection, and then I could minus from my selection, etc. Selection brush is literally, it's just a brush that you can brush around and it makes the selection. I can hit subtract and minus from it. We hopefully know about object selection. I can just click on it, and if it finds an object, it will select it. If you want to add another object, make sure you're on the 2 solid circles, or this one will remove. And then Magic Wand is pretty awesome. It will select anything that is the same color. So if it's a red background and I click on the red, it's not working great. So I'm going to change the tolerance number to something else. Oh, help problems, I'm on the minus, so I'm going to hit the plus. And it will add to, so it tries to select everything that is the same color. I can click inside here. And then lastly, one of my favorites is just the quick select tool. So it's like a brush, it'll find the edges, so I can just add or minus from things. Okay, so for this assignment, the first one we're gonna do, so first I'm gonna use 3 photos that I took. So there should be things that I photographed that are on my computer. First, I'm going to do generative expand. I'm going to make the background bigger and then replace it. So here's my picture. I'm going to go to the crop tool. I'm going to make sure I'm on generative expand, and the AI will like add some extra background. So I'm going to leave it blank, and then I'm just going to hit generate, and it's going to generate. Hopefully the video doesn't lag because it does use Wi-Fi to use AI. Okay, so it did great. It just made it black. Perfect. Now I'm going to select my subject. I'm right clicking. Oh, so it's not going to find it because I am on the wrong layer. So that reminds me, I need to merge these in order to change the background. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to merge visible layers. Puts it in 1, so that way it treats it as one solid background. Now I can select her. And then I need to invert my selection. So I'm going to go to select, inverse. This button right here is also invert. And then I'm going to hit generative fill. And I'm going to make sure I give it description. So I'm going to tell it what I want, details, if there's any styles. So I want a photo studio with green background and lights. And I'm gonna say realistic. Ooh, it spell checked for me, great. And it's going to see, we're gonna see what it generates. So this is the first one. I wanna make sure I cropped it, I merged my layers, and I'm gonna generate fill the background. So over here are my options. So there's a light, there's a light. I think this one looks the best with her hair, but I don't like, I'm gonna say 2 lights. 2 lights on stands. So I don't like what it gave me, so I'm gonna change my prompt and try again. Okay, so it has lights on stands now. Great, there's 2 lights. Some of them look a little funky. So I'm gonna go with this one. And then I would just screenshot the whole thing. So picture and layers like this. And then I would save it just in case. So that's the first one. Now I'm gonna try generative fill on a different photo to add or change 3 things. So this one, I'd recommend you find one of your friends because it's pretty funny. No, it's not the one I want. Okay, so here's her. I'm gonna use the lasso tool and I am going to select her hair and I'm gonna generative fill and I want vibrant, so like a description, red hair. So I'm gonna give it more details and it is going to auto-generate parts of her. So I could add or change things. So you can add or change things to a person. So her head looks a little weird. That one looks more realistic. It was problems she had stuff in her hair. And then I'm gonna change her face too. You can change eye color. You can change all sorts of things. I did not get her whole face. And I'm trying to be precise, but it's okay if it's a little funky. With red lips and blue. So I'm giving it specifics. I'm not just giving it one word prompts. I'm giving it specific directions. Great. So the blend is a little bad. So that one looks the best. So I gave her a clown face. And this person volunteered to be a subject for this. And then I want to change the background. So I'm gonna make sure I'm on my background layer. And I'm gonna use the subject selection tool and then I'm going to invert it. So this is invert, or it's also select inverse. And I'm gonna generative fill and I want a stage with red curtains. I'm gonna try a circus stage with red curtains and see what it does. So I did her hair, I did the face, and then I'm gonna try and replace the background. So that will be my 3 things that I change or add. Okay, so the selection around her hair looks really bad, and I think the problem is that it was below the other ones. So I'm gonna try and hit generate again. So it was on the bottom, so it only affected this and it didn't take into account the things on top, but I had to be on the background layer in order for this to work. So, a little better. So the hair is like, I needed a better selection around the hair if I'm gonna change everything. But I would go back and fix this for the sake of the video. I will move on. So I'm gonna screenshot this and turn it in. And then the last one on my own pictures is I'm going to remove 2 objects using the generative fill and leaving it blank. So I have another version of Photoshop. So I'm going to again use the lasso tool and I'm going to get really close in and I'm gonna hit generative fill. I'm just gonna leave it blank and hit generate and that should remove something. So if I leave the generative fill box blank, it is supposed to remove it. And this one has a lot going on in it. It was from the Hockney project, or no, Multiplicity. Okay, it did a pretty good job. And then I have like options for how it removes. I think this one looks the best. Let's get rid of this thing too. Whoops, wrong button. And if you don't have your contextual taskbar, it is also under Edit, Generative Fill, and you just leave it blank and hit Generate to make it blank. Okay, it did a pretty great job. The texture is a little off, but it did pretty good. Okay, so now we're just gonna text to image, making sure we use the generative fill prompts. And if you can't think of things, there are sentence frames right here. So kind of like a fill in the blank thing. So I'm gonna copy one so you can see what it looks like. So first I'm gonna do it in Photoshop. So I need, this is one I already made. I'm gonna make file new and get just a blank file. Then I'm gonna hit generate image. And again, if you don't have this, it is also under edit, generate image. And I am going to take, so this, you might or might not have this taskbar. They keep updating it and making it better. So I want a digital photograph art scene featuring, I want a lake with a floating oak tree in the style of Jerry Ullman. And I'm telling it I want a photo. You can use a reference image. So these are like inspirations. I can choose effect, and I'm going to, I know there's a surreal option. Oh. So there's different kind of effects that it thinks that you might like. I'm going to pick the surrealism one, and then I'm going to hit generate, and it's going to make an image out of nowhere. So the key to being good at this is making sure that you give it lots of detailed information and then refining it. Okay, that one's actually, these are pretty good actually. I wanted a lake floating over, and I think I like this one. And then I'm going to add two things to it. So I'm going to use my lasso tool, and I'm going to put where I want the object. I'm going to hit generative fill, and I want a person with blonde hair walking on water. So I can put whatever I want, whatever you think would look cool. But I'm making sure I'm giving it a subject, description. I can tell it what it looks like. So it looks like I made a boat. There's a running person with one leg. So these all look bad. All right, I'm gonna hit generate. So it'll take you a couple times, which is why I'm giving you an entire block period to do this. But I wanna make sure I add two things to it after I make the picture. Okay, so this idea is looking really bad, so I would scrap it, but you get the idea. So now I'm gonna do in a different program called Adobe Firefly, and this is Adobe's AI generation that normally you would have to pay for, but it is included in your subscription. So it gives you, these are all examples of the ones other people have done. So I want a underwater fisherman with bright tropical fish. Let's try a scuba diver. So I'm trying to give it lots of descriptions, and I'm gonna hit generate, and it's gonna come up. Did pretty good. So here it'll ask you, like, you can choose what dimensions you want it, if you want it to look like art or photo. You can upload a reference image to give it, like, I want it to look like this. There are effects, there are even like color tones, you can change the lighting. There's a bunch more options, and then once you find one that you like, so upscale will make the picture bigger and higher quality. You also need to download it. So I need to hit the download button on the one that I like so I can put it in my slides. So this is Adobe Firefly. It has a lot of awesome capabilities. So I did generative expand, replace the background of a photo. I generative fill, changed 3 things. I removed the objects, and these are 3 different photos. I made entirely new picture using Photoshop, entire new picture using Firefly, And then the last one should be something completely new. You can do whatever you want in any of the AI programs. Just make something that you think looks awesome. And then you will put it on the provided provided slides, a screenshot, so I can see your layers. And then the last one is just a JPEG because you don't really screenshot Firefly. Happy editing.